Now, I would like to commence with our today's session, which is entitled Herbal Medicine Today, Clinical and Research Issues with New Challenges. It's my pleasure to introduce our eminent speaker for today's session, Mrs. Saswati Panigrahi ma'am. Mrs. Saswati Panigrahi is currently working as an assistant professor in Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry in SGIPR since 2021. She has 11 months of industrial experience as a medical writer and 12 years of academic experience. She has also been a visiting faculty in Dr. Bhanuben Nanavati College of Pharmacy, Vilepali, Mumbai, from the year 2019 to 2020. Currently, she is also pursuing her PhD. She has published some research and review papers in national and international journals. She is life member of several bodies such as Indian Pharmaceutical Association and Association of Pharmaceutical Teachers of India. With this brief introduction, I will now request ma'am to take over the session.
Good morning, students. Is the screen visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today we'll be starting with the topic that is herbal medicines, clinical and research issues with new challenges. The content of our discussion will include okay. So we'll be starting with the topic that is herbal medicines, clinical research issues with new challenges. The content of the discussion will include what is the introduction, herbal companies which deal with herbal pharmaceuticals in India that deals with herbal products, classification, traditional and scientific knowledge of herbal medicines today, effectiveness, efficacy, challenge, case study, and case study and the constants in herbal medicines, opportunity in herbal medicines. Coming to the introduction, basically the usage of phytoconstituents and the nutraceuticals has increased in the common people, and it is used in various aspects. And this was given by a statement in the WHO 2004 that it was treated by, it was intaken by many people for treating many diseases, yet it had many health challenges to be encountered. It was estimated that around 80% of the world's population who were living had primary source as herbal healthcare and traditional medicine practices, and it was viewed in US that National Center of Complementary and Alternate Medicine Center used approximately $33 million on herbal medicines in 2005, and it used around $89 million US dollars in 2004 for studying the range of traditional therapies available. Coming to the herbal pharmaceutical companies of India, we have many pharmaceutical companies in India as Dabur, Himalaya, Virgo, Abbott, Patanjali, Himani, etc. Classifying, if we classify the herbal medicines according to WHO on basis of their origin, evolution, and forms of current use, we can segregate it as modified herbal medicines in system, imported products with herbal medicine base, indigenous herbal medicines. Now, what are indigenous herbal medicines? These medicines are used in local community, tribal community, and regional basis, but they do not have proper documentation. And but the local people, they use the composition and use these herbal medicines for their regular treatment. Next comes herbal medicine in system. So what is herbal medicine in system? These medicines are the herbal medicines which are documented according to specific theories and concepts, and they are accepted by many countries. Modified herbal medicines are the modified form of the herbal medicines, that is modification in the shape, dosage form, dose, administration, ingredients, methods of preparation, medical indications, etc. Imported products of herbal medicines. These medicines include the raw materials as well as the products. So now as we have completed about the different classification of herbal medicines, then why this classification is basically done because of the traditional knowledge what we had and the scientific knowledge what is proved by the clinical trials and the conventional lab techniques. We can differentiate as such. Like in traditionally we used only the juices, decoctions, or pills, but in scientific approach we can use different extracts with plant preparations as form as pharmaceuticals. In traditional use, we just combined many plants together and gave a synergistic activity and thought that it will have the same chemical constituent, so it gave a proper action. But in scientific use, it is the chemical constituents have pharmacological activity used symptomatically for prevention or treatment of a particular disease. In herbal drugs, it is believed that safe without any adverse effect. But scientists and the researchers, they have proved that though herbal medicines are safe to a greater extent, but they have side effects, contraindications, and drug interactions also. In traditional way, only the particular disease was treated depending upon the religious beliefs, social cultural concepts, but scientifically coming onto the scientific aspect, the disease was treated depending upon the symptoms, and a particular medicine was prescribed, herbal medicine was prescribed depending upon the pharmacological activity they possessed and with proper clinical trials. So here students are there. These are some few examples that, for example, garlic that is known as Aleve sativum, which was used traditionally for influenza, diarrhea, abortives against parasites. But scientifically, it was also proved that it was used for hypodipidemic platelet aggregates. Then taking the next example as Calendula officinalis. Traditionally, it was used in gastric ulcers, liver dispuratives, but scientifically, it was also used as a emollient and a healer. So these are the few other examples, that is citrus, vitex. So these are the few examples which had traditional use, but scientifically also some examples were proved that they had fight, they had pharmacological activity. Now, next step, coming to the efficacy and effectiveness of a traditional medicine. So before going to study the effectiveness and efficacy of a particular drug, then what we need to know, we should know which treatment we are studying, which form of treatment we are studying, and for which treatment we are prescribing the herbal medicines. It is equally essential to know the pattern of modern science protocols. Are we following the same protocol which is enlisted or it is approved by the government bodies? It is also necessary that scientific knowledge is to be added with traditional knowledge, so that other countries, the knowledge from other countries is also considered while treating a particular disease. Next question that we can ask is, does already exist a conventional treatment is safe and effective? If it is so, then what new things we can add into it? Is ethically corrected to study that type of remedy? This is very important, that we need to follow the ethical rules before going under or undertaking any kind of studies. Next comes the factor responsible for increased patronaging and self-medication with the herbal medicines. So herbal medicines are mostly associated with the term that is self-medication. Why? Because people seen that the herbal medicines are very safe and effective. Next, they can prefer the consumers of herbal therapies to a greater interest in alternate medicines. Even they believe that the herbal products are superior to manufactured products. And in some cases, the medicines that are available in the market, that is the conventional medicines, are proven to have ineffectiveness and inadequacy to cure the diseases. For such reasons, they go for self-medication with the herbal medicines. In some cases, high cost is also an important factors, and side effects of most modern drugs. Next point is the improvement of quality, efficacy, and safety of herbal medicines with the development of science and technology has to be done. Patients believe that the physicians do not have properly identified problems, hence they do not give them proper medication, and they feel that herbal remedies can give them better options. Then there comes a movement towards your self-medications. So from these particular factors, we can conclude that the effectiveness, efficacy, inadequacy, inefficiency of modern medicines, high cost, side effects, these are the few aspects of the modern medicine which lead them or the lead particular patient towards self-medication of the herbal medicines. The scientists also have proposed some other reasons, as the patients are very uncomfortable for discussion of their medical problems and fear the lack of confidentiality in handling their healthcare information. And in some cases, they also feel that they have a fear of misdiagnosis and wrong treatment by the patients with non-specific symptoms, or general malaise. Even lack of time to see a physician is also an important reason for self-medication. Then what are the challenges that we are going to face if we go for self-medication? The challenges are many. Depending upon the key challenges, that is your conflicting SSS, conflicting toxicological, epidemiological, and other data, and the verification of herbal materials used. First is the management within the range of risk, communication of uncertainty, pharmacological, toxicological, and clinical documentation, pharmacovigilance, understanding why addition of harmful additive works, evaluation of drug interactions, constraints with clinical trial and people available, standardization, safety, and efficacy assessment. To evaluate the herbal products, we need to go follow 6 simple steps, that is characterizing a new substance, history of the pattern of use of the herbal product, any adverse reaction reported, biological action, toxicological and carcinogenicity action, and clinical trial data. So the challenge which is associated with regulatory status of herbal medicines are many, out of which one and the first and primemost is that herbal medicines are considered as dietary supplements. And dietary supplements include different vitamins, minerals, herbs, and biological requirements of the body. And they do not undergo previously, that is the market between before 1994, they were not undertaken for toxicity studies under DSHEA. For next, FDA proved that the herbal medicines or the herbal products or the dietary ingredients is toxic and not safe, and thereafter they have felt the importance of studying the pharmacological action and testing the herbal products for their toxicity. The additional challenge is the countries relating the fact that regulatory information on herbal medicines is not often shared between regulatory authorities and safety monitoring of pharmacological centers. Apart from the regulatory aspect, next come the challenges which are associated with the safety and efficacy. So in safety and efficacy, it is very important to evaluate the safety and efficacy of the herbal medicines, because we need to know that a herbal medicine is one single constituent or a mixture of herbal constituents, and do the herbal constituents react with each other, or they have a synergistic approach, or the herbal constituents may be practically impossible, especially as an herbal product, to be 2 or more herbs. Then what are the challenges that are associated to quality control of herbal medicines? Apart from regulatory, safety, and efficacy, next comes quality control. Quality control is a very important aspect, because in quality control, starting from the raw material, we need to consider till the finished products. The quality of the source of the raw materials is dependent not only the intrinsic factors, but also the extrinsic factors. Then what are the extrinsic factors? The environmental conditions, good agriculture, and good collection practice for medical plants, including plant selection and cultivation. So combating all these factors to perform a sum total of all the factors and performing the quality control on the raw materials becomes really challenging, because in some cases, if we see that the species wild collection and cultivation that we have already studied in SEM 2, that is wild collection and cultivation, if any sort of plant is collected and some other species adhere to it or come along with it without the knowledge of a botanician or a taxonomist, then that also can create problem while making the product and can show some kind of side effects of some sort of adverse pharmacological action. So quality control measurements of herbal medicines are highly essential. According to WHO, according to good manufacturing practice, correct identification, as I have already told, that correct identification of the species of the medicinal plants, special storage, special cleaning methods for various materials is important. The challenges, as I told, is for the finished products of the herbal medicinal products. Hence, the general requirements and methods of the quality control of finished herbal products remain much more complex than that of other pharmaceuticals. To ensure the safety and efficacy of the herbal medicines, WHO continues to endorse the Institute of Quality Assurance and Control measures such as National Quality Specification and Standards for Herbal Materials, GMP, labeling, and licensing scheme for manufacturing. Next comes the challenge which are associated to safety monitoring of herbal medicines. Now, safety monitoring of herbal medicines differ in different countries. Coming up to the developed countries, furthermore, it is dependent upon many people in the developing countries on the plants as a major source of medicines, as they are coupled with regular herbal medicines in the most countries with high profile safety assessments and increased awareness regarding the need to monitor the safety and understanding the possibility of the harmful effects of the herbal medicines. Now, adverse effects arises from the consumption of the herbal medicines, and these adverse effect occurs mainly due to the wrong species of the plant, adulteration of the herbal products, undeclared medicines, that is, medicines giving medicines assuring magic remedies, that is contaminations, that overdose, usage of herbal medicines by either herbal care providers or consumers, and use of herbal medicines with other medicines. There are lack of proper knowledge regarding the importance of taxonomic botany and documentation by most of the manufacturers of herbal medicines. And these peculiar challenges, that is the preliminary step, that is your identification and collection of the herbal plants, are the prime cause of adulteration. To overcome this confusion created because of the common names, the binomial system of medicine had been developed. That is, the name containing your generic and the species name. For example, Artemisia, which has around 11 common names, and they are active narcotic derivatives. Hence, effective monitoring of herbal medicines will require effective collaboration between the botanist, the phytochemist, the pharmacologist, and other stakeholders. Coming to some kind of case studies, we have seen that herbal medicines are used in pregnancy. They result in multinational studies in some constituents as aristolytic acids. So these acids were previously proved very good for slimming agents, but in few studies reported, it shows that nephrotoxic activity, carcinogenic potentials, and genotoxic studies also prove that they have some kind of gene gene adducts, and this led to the banning of the medicinal products containing astrologic acid in Belgium, UK, Canada, Australia, and Germany. The next drug that we can discuss is Epiedra sinica. So Epiedra sinica was traditionally used in respiratory conditions, and various randomized double-blind clinical trials were conducted, and it was reported in the Chinese pharmacopoeia for therapeutic use, and it is classified as non-toxic. Yet they have some serious cardiological effect central nervous system adverse effects. They are also used to reduce weight. That is, it is used as a dietary supplement for weight loss, ephedra, but it contains side effects, serious side effects, as your CVS it affects your CVS system and CNS system. Even they are reported for hepatotoxicity, neurotoxicity, and transient blindness. Acotinum species is another example of that kind. It was traditionally used for pain relief, but it has so many alkaloids. It is a diester diterpenoid alkaloid, and it has so many constituents which was helpful. But in due course of the study done by Duane Wong, it was reported that it created stroke, heart failure, diarrhea, diabetes, respectively, and poisoning also occurred due to home preparation or home medication of this particular drug. Names coming to Tuseligo. This was effective for the treatment of acute and chronic cough and regarded as non-toxic in same Chinese pharmacopoeia in 2010. It contains many alkaloids, and it was demonstrated that it was hepatotoxic in nature, and the potential was seen that it creates cirrhosis in the people taking consuming this for a regular span of time. The most common is your allium sativum, that is your garlic, which is used for the management of hypertension and hypercholesteremia. It contains alin as the ingredient which is responsible for absence of heat on aggregate because of activity. Then adverse effects which are associated are your gastric intestinal tract irritation, nausea, and many other side effects were reported for this drug. Ginkgo biloba and ginseng, these are also very common because ginseng is a drug that contain around 30 ginsenosides, and they are being investigated to inhibit cell proliferation, tumor cells, and other metastasis. It is demonstrated that it contains active constituents, but they have even the side effects as dizziness, restlessness, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Ginseng is another component which turns to be non-fatal for Steven-Johnson syndrome, but has many side effects as agitation, insomnia, and elevated blood pressure. That is next is the kava. This is known for the CNS depressant activity, and it is commonly used as anxiolytic agents, but the side effects, the studies also prove that they have accompanied side effects as dizziness, gastrointestinal discomfort, localized numbness, etc. This is the last plant that we can discuss, that these compound, that is hypercum, is used for the viral infections, and they have gained increased use in mild depressive symptoms. But similarly, at the same time, they were reported by the scientists for allergic conditions, photosensitivity, constipation, vomiting, etc. So, after studying so many examples of the plants which has some positive effects as well as some negative, the constants in herbal medicines comes to existence. Then what are the constants? Then indiscriminate harvesting and poor post-harvesting treatment practices, lack of research on the development of high-yielding varieties and domestication, poor agriculture and propagation method, inefficient processing techniques, poor quality control procedures, lack of current good good manufacturing practices, lack of R&D on product and process development, lack of marketing, lack of trained personnel and equipments, lack of facilities, fabrications of the equipments locally, and lack of latest technology for awareness. The other constants are as such, that is, both the raw material, raw herbs and the extracted herbs, which contain the sterols, alkaloids, flavonoids, that is the secondary metabolites, are very small in nature and they are often determined, which is an important component of the herbs which has biological activity in human beings. In addition, the processing of the herbs such as heating, boiling, dissolution rate, pharmacological activity, that is other factors which are including as the planting, the infections, the genetic factors, they also play an important role. The plant collection for use in botanicals, one of the most important factor which is concerning for the quality of the plant. Then adulteration of the plant should be commonly taken care of, because adulteration and substitution is the important factor which cause the constants in herbal medicine. The factors affecting the quality and purity of the herbal medicines are drug adulteration, wrong identification of the plant materials, imperfect preparation, proper drying conditions, because if it is not properly dried, then there are chances of microbial infections, incorrect storage system, gross substitution of the plant materials, substitution with exhausted drugs. Finally, coming up to the opportunities in herbal medicines. So what are the opportunities that we can avail in the herbal medicines? That are herbal medicine cultivation, medicinal plant export, in drug manufacturing companies, teaching professions, in the field of plant monographs, drug inspectors, medical taxonomists, pharmacoorganists, herbalists, and Ayush practitioners, the doctors, SRF, JRF in clinical trials, clinical and research opportunities. Without doubt, the therapy's potential of many herbs, it is yet fully discovered. Career options in the various new other fields. These are the, that is, national medical plant boards, which are responsible for testing the herbal plants. National medical plant boards are also including the fund, the segregation of the funds for research purpose. Then few challenges and the solutions for non-classical formulations. That is, if you have any unknown adulterant, we can go for the authentication, we can go for the chemical method characterization and use of analytical techniques. If we have aflatoxins and limit tests for microbes, then we can go for testing the drugs individually. Long-term study and efficacy, that is strong structured randomized controlled trials can be conducted. Similarly, structured pharmacovigilance lead also can be done. Dose specifications of the herbal drugs can be done by availing the prescription. Lack of sophistication of testing facilities should be increased by the use of government fund, that is using the government testing laboratories for herbal drugs. Lack of chemical markers, that is, the government should avail the chemical markers so that the phytoconstituents can be easily determined. These are the few approaches. The key intakes from the slide, that is, the global acceptance of the herbal medicines are more related to that of the consumption of the exponentially increase. Next, issues relating to the adverse reactions are many, but because of increase in prevalence and no longer debatability because of the previous misconception of categorization of herbal medicines as safe, they are derived from natural sources. Therefore, regulatory policies are to be standardized and strengthened on global scale so that they can be monitored and controlled properly, and quality flow of herbal products and to facilitate various clinical trials can be done so that people can avail the natural medicines without any kind of side effects. Thank you, one and all.
It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks for today's session. I thank our eminent speaker, Mrs. Saswati Panigrahi ma'am, for enlightening us with their knowledge. Today's webinar gave a deep insights into the topic, herbal medicines today, clinical and research issues with new challenges. Ma'am has focused on various points like how uses of phytophenols has been increased, their global acceptance are also have been increased. She also gave example of herbal medicines today, how the traditional use, along with the traditional use, there are also scientifically proven pharmacological activity, its efficacy and effectiveness of a traditional herbal remedy, how factors responsible for increased patronage and self-medication with herbal medicine. She also mentioned challenges associated with herbal medicines, regulatory status of herbal medicines, assessment of safety and efficacy, and also the QC of herbal medicine. She also gave us various case studies and also mentioned about constraint in herbal medicines. She also gave us opportunities about in herbal medicines. We would like to thank ma'am for this. A sincere thanks to Principal Dr. Savita Taro ma'am for providing encouragement and support. I would also like to thank the coordinators for their guidance and support. I'm very thankful to the participants who are present today. Thank you. Feedback link would be shortly shared with you. Please do kindly fill it. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you. Please note that tomorrow we also have another session. Thank you.